Hey guys, I'm Sai and welcome to A.C.E Podcast Nation. This is the home of me, myself, and I. This is episode number 8. It's gonna be an interesting one. We are live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. A.C.E Podcast Nation, of course, your home to many great shows and series featuring expert analysts, top guests, and more. We have series on all sorts of subjects, including football, mental health, MMA, boxing, wrestling, movies and TV, and all sorts of things. Some are on hiatus, some are regular, some are weekly, all sorts of stuff. But we're always putting out at least 3, maybe 4 shows a week. And of course, got lots of shows coming up soon. I'm actually having a conversation with a certain man from the Northeast on Wednesday. So we should know more about the upcoming schedule very soon. But of course, you can check us out on YouTube, and I'd appreciate if you could drop a subscribe, drop a like on the video, helps us get up the search engines. And if you prefer your podcasts in audio form, then of course we are now part of the Sports Social Podcast Network, the UK's first dedicated sports podcast network. And you can find this show, you can find all of our other shows, all the content produced by A.C.E Podcast Nation available there. I will be dropping a post probably tomorrow morning with a list of all the audio sites for the different shows at the moment, because I think there's been a little bit of confusion. Whereas they all used to be on one feed, they're now got their own separate ones. So it's obviously we don't want to lose any listeners if there's any confusion there. So I'm going to get a post out there. But in the meantime, just as we wait for any late comers, as it were, the charity Super Six update. We, as a channel, we're supporting a charity Super Six Football Prediction League this year, raising money for 2 incredible charities, the Maggies Centre and, of course, Mind Mental Health Charity. And this week, Matthew De Freitas topped the round with 11 points, closely followed by Owain and Helen Jones, no relation. But after Saturday's round, it's all changed in the main table. He was leading for the first 7 rounds, but Gareth Price is now dropping places quicker than Cardiff City. Franco's lead at the top was short-lived, as short-lived as Mick McCarthy's tenure should be. So that means we have a new leader. Well done to Rhys Irrison, who takes the number 1 spot on 132 points. Wow. A very quick turnaround this week, as your predictions are due tomorrow, Tuesday, 7:45. So please make sure you get them in. Do not forget. Someone remind Mr. Andy Campbell and, of course, Rodri to make sure that they do them. And just for anyone who doesn't realise, we're always live on a Monday, we're always live on a Friday, we're always live on a Sunday. So join us 7:30 on a Monday and a Friday, 8 o'clock on a Sunday. Join us to get involved in the conversation. It's going to be an interesting one. So this one at the moment is this Monday show is it's a bit of a holding pattern, as we know. This is just a chance for you guys to ask me anything you want. I give my opinion on a few things, and I'm going to talk about the South Wales Derby, obviously, over the weekend. We'll talk a bit of football. We'll talk about anything you guys want. We can talk about Squid Games if you like. Whatever you want to talk about, we will talk about. But let's have a quick look, see who's in the chitty chat. As always, there we go. James Costley's there. Thank you to James as well. He recommended A.C.E Podcast Nation to Wales Online because they put out a post asking for which podcasts people should listen to. I appreciate that. That's the sort of stuff which might find us the odd new viewer, listener. I appreciate that massively, mate. Gavin Randall, the Wandering Sun returns. That means that Salah must have scored on the weekend. Must have, because Gav's back. Only joking, my friend. I'm glad to have you back. Glad to see you. Will Meliush is here. And of course, if you want to join our Super 6 Football Prediction League and you're not already in there, it's not too late. You can join. Contact Will Meliush. He's in the YouTube chat at the moment. And also you can, of course, in the links in the description below this video, there's links to the Facebook group and stuff like that. You can send a message over, and will add you to the group so that you can test your knowledge, your football knowledge, against myself and a whole host of footballing legends, as it were. Who else has we got? Reese is here. Gareth Parry, welcome, my friend. Who else we got? Rye, welcome, buddy. Kate Child, yes, mate, like it. Good to see a few more on YouTube, because I know generally YouTube seems to be a lot of people watching after the fact, but I love the live interaction. Do love it. But yes, Leslie, welcome, my friend. Rob Boyle, United fans going to throw their. Rob says United fans are going to throw their toys out the pram again. Protest on the weekend over the Glazers. I admit, I think that's an ongoing thing. But obviously, when the problem is with anything is, as I discussed a little bit about Cardiff over the last couple of weeks, when the football's shite, you got to win, because if you're not winning, people won't put up with it. Whereas if the football's good and it's exciting and you're losing 3-2, 4-2, but you're still losing, people will put up with it for much longer. United are absolute garbage at the moment, and when you look at their playing squad, there's no excuse. So he's got nowhere to hide. The United fans don't want to turn against Solskjaer if they can avoid it, which means they're going to target the Glazers, rightly so, in my opinion. But also, same for Cardiff. Mick McCarthy, he was all right when he was winning. Football was still shite then, but we were winning. Now it's not. Now we're garbage. Now we're playing 5 central defenders. We'll get to it. We'll get to it. But yes, it's all going to be funny. Let's have a look-see. I've got to update this Sky Sports thing, mate. Got to do it. But we will do it. We will do it. I'll get around to it eventually, probably when the show's gone and there's something else on a Monday. But there you go. So, as always, this show relies heavily on you guys asking questions, giving opinions, things like that. It's I need your opinion so that I can give mine. Gareth Parry says he thinks United have been taking a big gamble on Ronaldo to try and mask the issues elsewhere. Yes and no. I think, Gareth, to me, Ronaldo's guaranteed he'll score him goals, whether their team does well or not. They needed a striker because they can't rely on Martial. Rashford was out for a while, and I'd argue that Rashford's probably better at coming from wide. Greenwood's not ready to play through the middle, and Cavani can't play 2 games a week. So they needed a striker. He was available on a free. Add in the fact that he might have gone to Man City, I think it was a no-brainer. But also, I agree, it was kind of masking issues that they had. They got massive issues in midfield that until they address those, is never, ever, ever going to work long term. They need a central midfielder who can either play box to box and be like an old Roy Keane type who can put in a tackle as well, or they've got to get an out-and-out defensive midfielder who's going to sit and do the donkey work. And Gareth's followed it up by saying they still have Fred. Enough said. And if you're relying on Fred as your central midfielder, McTominay I think is slightly different. I don't think he's an out-and-out holding midfielder. Probably be better as a box-to-box, but he would need someone alongside him who's going to sit. Fred doesn't. Fred's rubbish. It's just the way it is. Leslie says, by the way, Giggsy got one prediction correct. He went for Middlesbrough 2-0. And I asked you to predict on that. You did ask us to predict on that, mate. And it was good. Rodri's pretty spot on with his score predictions. I sent him a text earlier, and I'll read it to you verbatim. And I said, I can't get it up. Story of my life. Must be getting old. I am 40. It's in a couple of weeks, so it's part of the problem. So I sent Roger a text basically saying that I can't predict a score for Toffee in the prediction league and mine and Rodri's head-to-heads, but my opinions on football are spot on. Just to clarify what I said over the last week of shows, I said Cardiff would be dreadful. Mick McCarthy is a dinosaur. His tactics will be outed against Swansea. They were. I said Leicester City would beat Manchester United. I said John Joe Shelvey is a liability. Lets his teammates down time and time again, but getting sent off. He did get sent off. I also said Harry Kane would score his first goal of the season. That was right as well. So if you need opinions, I give them, and they're normally right. Just don't ask me for a score. Don't ask me for a score. But let's have a look what we got. Craig Sullivan says Emiliano Sala trial update today. So Mr. Henderson pleaded guilty to one aspect of it, but not guilty to the other aspect. So I believe the last thing I saw from one of the journalists was they are looking for, or they're picking the jury. Trial date will probably be around January time, is what it is. I'm not going to talk about that too much. Obviously, because it's an ongoing kind of court thing. But what I will do is one of these Mondays, I will get Harry Harris back on to have a chat about where it stands and what it would mean for Cardiff and the the trial and stuff like that. Because he's spot on with that stuff. Absolute legendary top journalist who's interviewed and worked with some of the biggest names ever in football, so in world football, let alone UK football. And obviously he's been heavily into that story, researching it and stuff. Let's have a look what else we've got. Let's have a look. Rice on, he says Middlesbrough women have signed Grace Boyce tonight. Well, good. Congratulations to them. I know they had a real tough game on the weekend against Stoke. Just came up short, but overall, I think they've been doing pretty well from what I've seen. And also, the credit the reserve team, Middlesbrough women's reserve team, has been unbelievable. The Middlesbrough first team, they played some real tough games. They've done pretty well in a lot of them, but it's interesting, mate. It's interesting. Got a close eye on that. Leslie, I did go to 2-0 Borough as well. So, I did guess one score. Thank goodness. Welcome to Matthew Angel. Opinion on Plymouth Argyle, Rye says. Oh, mate, I'll tell you what, I'll come back to that in a second because I'll have to do a little bit of research. I'm not hugely up to date with Plymouth's plight, mate, but I'll have a quick look and I can give you a rough idea of what I think. But keep your questions rolling in because obviously I depend on these questions, your views. I want to hear your views. Cardiff, I know there's a lot of big Cardiff contingent in the chat. Let me know what you thought of the weekend. But Plymouth, top of the league. And they beat Oxford on the weekend. That is a cracking result because Oxford are pretty good. They play good football. So, that's good. Very good indeed. Indeed. So, what else we got? Rob Boyle says there's a rumour that a lot of people mentioning Hudson for the next manager of Cardiff with McPhail as director of football. I saw something earlier, someone saying Hudson and Bellamy till the end of the season with McPhail as director of football. To me, if they're going to bring Bellamy in, which I'm not saying is a bad idea, I don't believe that it will work with him and someone else, like a joint manager situation. Him with Hudson as part of his backroom staff, or McPhail or someone at director of football. I'd probably say someone a bit more experienced than Steve McPhail in that role above Bellamy might work, but I don't see that. I mean, possibly as like till the end, to the end of the season, but I also think that's a massive risk because we're only in October, and Cardiff have a very real possibility of going down. Do you want to put in two young managers as a temporary thing with this much of the season to go in the plight you are? I don't think so. If you're going to do a short-term thing where you are like looking for someone just at the end of the season, I believe you should probably go for someone who's already in management or has had a management job. Maybe the Cowley brothers, someone like that makes a bit more sense, simply because, all right, say you're going to go with Hudson as the next manager or Bellamy. If that's your choice, then bin off Mick McCarthy, bring in Bellamy or Hudson or whoever, a young manager. You say, right, we want you to stay up, but if you go down, you're not going to get sacked. If we got to go to League One and rebuild, then that's what we got to do. Fine. But if you're just going to say Hudson and Bellamy or either or till the end of the season and then we're going to readdress it, waste of time, absolute waste of time. Reese says, Mehmet Dalman likes to take all the credit for when things go well, and he hides when things go wrong. Cannot see him allowing anyone else to come in having a say, and don't think we'll get a director of football. Yeah, I think this is it. And I wouldn't say it's just Mehmet Dalman or Kenneth Cho. They all sort of like to take the credit for the positives, but the negatives, they kind of all do seem to lump on the manager. I think club's rotten from top to bottom. Every aspect of it, from the owner down to the manager, there's a problem there. The academy, in my opinion, hasn't been the same since Bellamy left. Say what you will, but what people think of Bellamy as an individual is not really interested in that. He did a phenomenal job as his work with the academy and the players. He got it to a high standard, and we're seeing the benefits of that now a couple of years later, because it takes a couple of years for those players to come through. But we've got more academy players in our squad now than we've had in years. Bellamy got those players ready, and I think he deserves credit for that. Yes, part of it is going to be an issue because, of course, it's one of them things, isn't it? Because we haven't got a choice of playing those youth players because we haven't got a squad big enough. Donna says, I'd love to have Danny Gabardon back as well as Gav. He's a true blue and has the knowledge. Yeah, but again, my question with that is, right, if you want to bring Danny Gabardon in as manager, fantastic. But you don't say Danny Gabardon until the end of the season. You give him whatever contract you're going to give him, and if you say to him, and you make sure he knows that if you get relegated, his job is not on the line, and he's going to have the opportunity to rebuild in League One. Otherwise, it's pointless. In my opinion, when Neil Harris was manager and Cardiff took too long to sack him, Neil Harris would have taken Cardiff City down. In my opinion, if they leave Mick McCarthy in the job until Christmas, we will be all but down by Christmas, is my opinion. I didn't like the appointment at the start, as you all know. People who watch regular and used to watch the Andy Campbell show on Friday, people know I was fuming. I was really, really disappointed with that as Mick McCarthy as the choice. But after we conceded 9 goals in 2 games, and then we played Reading. Yes, we lost, but we looked a bit better playing the 4 in defence. We've got no width, and this is something I've been banging the drum about. We've got no width as it is, which is why you're not seeing Kiefer Moore as being as effective as he was last year. We've got no width. We're playing against Swansea. It's going to be a feisty game, but Swansea like to get the ball down and play around you and press you high. So if you play dinosaur long ball football, that's Swansea's dream. The one thing they want you to do is be direct. Unless you can be direct and you've got people who can bully them and run in off them, run in from wide positions off Kiefer Moore to get those flick-ons. We haven't got that. We just play long ball and expect Kiefer Moore to do something with it, and that's it. That's our plan. And then set pieces and stuff like that. We have nothing. And the fact that we've, Lee Tomlin's gone, so we've got nobody with any creativity apart from Ryan Giles, who is a lone player. But then to go from the Reading game, which was our best performance in probably 5 games, back to 5 defenders. But all right, I can go, all right, if you're going to go with 5 defenders against away at Swansea, South Wales Derby, Swansea were starting to pick up a little bit. They play good football, 5 in defence, that's okay. But to play the 5 centre-backs, so your 2 wing-backs are centre-backs, is outrageous. And I think it was a disgusting decision. Because those young fullbacks, NG, Bagan, they haven't let anyone down this season. They've probably been the shining lights of Cardiff's squad, is those young players, those players. They're the only players in that squad who could have given us any width whatsoever. But apart from that, they've probably been some of our best defenders. So why the hell are you taking them out to play 5 centre-backs? Outrageous decision. And again, it shows to me that in 2021, Mick McCarthy should not be a manager of what is supposed to be a top championship club. Because that's what Cardiff is supposed to be. Cardiff is supposed to be a big club in the Premier League 2 or the Championship. But they are behaving like a League 2 club, playing shit football, just hoofing it up to the striker and expecting him to go. What was the point in keeping Kiefer Moore? Because he can't do anything. He's not Ronaldo. He's not Messi. He's not going to score free kicks from the edge of the box. He's not going to score from 40 yards out. He's not going to create anything from nothing. He needs the ball in the box. You need the ball in the box. Your players have to put it there. You have to have wingers to do so. We sold all our wingers or sacked them. Now, that's not down to Mick McCarthy. That's down to the board. That's down to the people who make those money decisions. And I understand Mick McCarthy, like Gav has just said there, is because he doesn't trust 4 in defence. I get that completely. Not a problem with the 5 in defence. What I have a problem with is we were left with no width, or the little width that we could have had. We had none of it because Bagan and NG probably would be my choices. But natural wide fullbacks weren't played. We played centre-backs in those positions. Outrageous, disgusting. And I'll tell you something, it's easy to blame Mick McCarthy, and I do. It's easy to blame the board, and I do. Do you know why also I thought was pretty much disgraceful was those players. Those players were disgusting. And I cannot tell you how much it burns my inside to say, but the Swansea manager, the Swansea fans, the Swansea players, they all gave more of a shit about that game. They all cared more. They were all more passionate. They were all more into it. They cared whether they got those 3 points. The Cardiff City players, they played their game and off they went. They went and just had their dinner and probably went out for a few beers. They just don't care. It's the same players who were let down Neil Harris and the same players who weren't doing it for Neil Warnock at the end of his stint. Like, how many times will we excuse these players because Sean Morrison's, he's a great lad, we like him, he's funny, great, wicked. How many times are we going to excuse these piss poor, just average performances? Bakuna has been dreadful for 3 years, but still he seems to be the first name on the team sheet. This is outrageous. Oh, I can't tell you how much it does my nutting. I apologise for the bit of a rant. But what I will say is this: what's the point in sacking Mick McCarthy if we bring in Sam Allardyce, for instance? That's what we'll do. We'll bring in, like we've done the last couple of times, we will bring in the same type of manager to play the same type of football. He will have the same squad of players with the same board behind him. So what's the point? What's the point in putting the club in more financial trouble because we'll have to pay Mick McCarthy for 3 years because we couldn't wait till the end of the season to see what things were. We had to, because he'd won 5 games on the bounce. Oh my God, Mick McCarthy's still got it, even though he just got sacked from Cyprus. He's still got it. Mick still got it. Let's give him a 3-year contract. Mick McCarthy is going to take us to the promised lands. Absolute garbage. But now, typical Cardiff City, they've gone from, they could have made a decision in the summer, but the Sun or some shit reported, Mick McCarthy is in talks for the Celtic job. There we go. Next day, Cardiff City have given Mick McCarthy a 3-year contract. Mick McCarthy's agent has played an absolute blinder, and I hope Mick McCarthy gave him a big fat bonus because Cardiff gave him a 3-year contract simply because he was linked with that Celtic job. Disgrace. And Cardiff now are in a position where they either sack him or he likely takes them down. Because if they sack him, they've got to pay him for 3 years. 3 years. And he's not cheap, by the way, Mick McCarthy. He's not on pennies, by the way. He might be working with pennies, but he ain't being paid pennies. 3 years. John Sheridan, get him in. That's what I say. Bring on Big John. Oh, Sam Allardyce, Mark Hughes, Neil Lennon, not Tony Mowbray, what's his name? Pullis. They can all piss off. Donna Perry says Mick McCarthy has never apologised. Absolutely spot on, Donna. Do you know why? Because he doesn't give a shit. By the time he was on that bus, he could not care less. It was just outrageous display by everyone involved with Cardiff City. I feel sorry for those fans who had to travel up to that dump and watch that shower of shit. However, I will also say, credit where it's due, Swansea City, they were pretty good. They played well. Their team cared. And ultimately, the team, who me and Rodri said on Friday, the team that cares more will be the one who wins. And then we were proven right. I was joking about John Sheridan, but I probably would take him over bloody Mick McCarthy, in all fairness. Let's have a see what people. I've just been talking non-stop and just ranting, so I haven't really been reading the comments. So I don't know if any of you agree with me or whatever. Evening, Gaz. Reese says, after every loss, he keeps saying, I thought we started well. I was pleased with how we started. Can I get those glasses he wears? Oh, mate, he's a dinosaur, mate. Should not be a manager in 2021 of what is supposed to be a semi-big club. Leslie says Mick McCarthy couldn't take you to the local. Absolutely spot on. Gavin Randall says, I think Sang would get good players. No will help. Who else we got? Big Sam. We can't afford Big Sam, regardless of whether you think he'd do a good job. Leslie says Steve Bruce. Oh my good God. Can you imagine? Will Mel, you said if we can afford to pay off Tomlin, we can afford to pay off Mick McCarthy. Yeah, but we're still paying Neil Harris. We're still paying Neil Harris. Wouldn't be surprised. I don't think we're paying Warnock anymore because he's at the Borough job. We're still paying Neil Harris. Mick McCarthy's got a 3-year deal, and you'd have to give him a compensation payment as well as his wages. Plus, we can't afford to barely play the small squad we've got. And look, if it was me making a decision, I'm sacking him and I'm bringing in one of the managers we've talked about in recent weeks. So for a couple of people maybe who I've seen now who haven't been in on the Roddy Giggs show on a Friday or this on a Monday, I'm talking I bring in either the Cowley brothers, Carl Robinson, who else we got? Lee Bowie is not going to come now, but a young manager, and I'm saying to him, right, you've got 3 years to rebuild. You can do a bit of wheeling and dealing. There'll be a little bit of money there for you in the summer. Nothing in January. There's money in the summer for you to rebuild. If you get relegated, you get relegated. That's not to pay your job's not dependent on that. Just try and keep us up, and we will rebuild from the summer. And we need to get rid of some of the dead wood, start focusing on these young players and building around the team. And that's what they've got to do, in my opinion. Whether people agree with it or not, I'd be interested to know what you guys think of that as a view. But to me, Mick McCarthy has to go. I know we can't afford it though. But in my opinion, look, here's the way I look at it. Right, if Mick McCarthy stays till Christmas, we're down. If we sack Mick McCarthy and bring in the Cowley brothers, and we say to them, you've got 3 years to rebuild, like I just said, and if you go down, blah, 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 right, that's fine. But I'd rather go down already starting the rebuild with a new manager now than I would leave Mick McCarthy till Christmas or March or whatever and then have to start the rebuild 3-4 months later. I want to start the rebuild now. If that means we go down, we go down. I don't care. Probably enjoy the football more. I'd rather start the rebuild now. Relegation will just be what it is because at the moment we're going down anyway. We certainly will go down with Mick McCarthy. Donna says she wishes he would just resign. I wish more managers would resign and take ownership and say, look, I'm just not doing a good job. But it's, realistically, it's just not going to happen. People are not going to give up their payoffs. Mick McCarthy probably hasn't got many jobs in him either. His last couple of jobs have not exactly made his reputation any good, any better. So realistically, he's not going to turn down a 3-year payoff. Just the way the world are, unfortunately. Leslie says, I think Cardiff will come good. I remember last year you said you go towards the bottom or on a roll. You went, yeah, but if we'd stayed with Harris, Leslie, we would have gone down. We were hurtling down towards relegation. We brought Mick McCarthy in, and to be fair to him, he did steady the ship, and he got 5 or 6 wins on the bounce. But it isn't gonna happen at the moment, which is why I believe that the best thing to do is to start the rebuild now. If that means you go to League One, let's see what the people think of my rant. Will says relegation will cost more than replacing the manager. Reese David Evans says, Rob says, the guy's proper car salesman, chats as a shite and just tells us what we want to hear. I don't know who that's about, Rob. So whether it's about the board or whether it's about Mick McCarthy, I don't know. Gavin Randall says, best thing to happen is to go down and start again. I don't disagree with you, mate. I just wish they'd sack him now. And if we go down with a new manager in place, then that's what we do. But let's get a young manager in now who's going to try and play football. So like I said about Bellamy, how he turned around the academy because he expected certain standards, he expected the football to be played a certain way, etc., etc. I want a manager to come in and do that with the first team from top to bottom. The first team, the under-23s, the academy. Let's always singing from the same hymn sheet. Let's bring Cardiff back to where they should be from top to bottom and rebuild with a young manager with a vision of how he wants the club to play football, which is not just this shower of shite. And like on that, like I know I've said a few times about if you're playing shit football, it's all right if you're winning. Look at Malky Mackay, mate, guys. Malky Mackay, where the year we went up and we won the championship, that football was soul-destroyingly bad. But we were winning. It was like 1-0, 2-1 every game. We were just grinding out results. And yeah, it wasn't great to watch, but it was exciting. Do you know why it was exciting? Because you felt together with Malky Mackay, with the players. Every win they scraped out was like this massive release. Like the last 20 games, it felt like it was like just fist pump after fist pump at the end of each game because you'd ground out another dreadful 1-0 win, which was painful to watch. That's why if he had been doing, he'd been like 4th from bottom, losing and scoring, conceded 9 goals every few games, he wouldn't have lasted very long. Let's have a look what else we got. Reese David Evans was going to ask if I can jump in on this retail therapy because at this case I can buy Fredo. Yeah, retail therapy might be the way to go. I don't think Craig Bellamy will come in. He's spoken a lot about his mental health issues recently, and obviously he returned from Belgium. So I'm not 100% sure if Bellamy's the right way to go. Part of me thinks yes, part of me thinks no. Right, Rob was on about Dalman. Yeah, I mean, I can see why people think that I can. Let's have a look. Craig Sullivan says we've cut a lot of money, but not all. I would say probably £1 to £2 million a month, but he would still be ploughing in money and payoffs still cost. Absolutely, mate. So Reece said, Mehmet Dalman said on the pod he doesn't take a wage, which is accurate. However, he does get paid a large consultancy fee every year, apparently. I'm not sure on that, mate, so I can only go on what you're saying or what other people are saying with that regard. But he said, Reece continues, but for a shrewd businessman, surely he must be looking at the books and asking where it's going. New member to board who wore green to be unveiled. If it's $2 million a month, $24 million a season, surely he must be questioning things by now. It's an absolute shambles. Well, one thing I would look at is like, what do we spend our parachute payments on, really? Like, who do we didn't really buy anyone. I think Kiefer Moore was the biggest signing. Who else? Tell me, who else did we sign? Who cost like money, big money? It's worrying. It's worrying, the financial side of things. Craig says you can't go down. Just look how hard it has come to come back up. Just ask Portsmouth and Sunderland. Yeah, and I think if you look at their off the pitch situations, very similar to Cardiff financially. It is an issue, but honestly, mate, watching Cardiff at the moment, it's so depressing and so frustrating that part of me just wants to go back to League One so I can enjoy it again. Maybe that's like a bit tongue-in-cheek and a bit off the hip, but I just, it is painful at the moment. Let's have a look. Gav says it's our 5 at the back is bullshit. Yeah, mate, it's 5 centre backs, mate. Rubbish. Absolute embarrassment. Donna says she couldn't bear the thought of us going down. Yeah, it's not a pleasant thought, but I'd rather risk it with a new young manager playing a better type of football now than just go down with anger and frustration under Mick McCarthy. Like, I'd rather everyone be united, fighting to stay up, playing good football, attacking, losing games 4-3, and under a young manager, and everyone be like bouncing and fighting together till the very last day. Whereas now, if we just carry on the way we're going, it is going to be brutal because everyone's going to get more and more angry with the board, with the manager, and it's just going to be a bitter taste. And then you add relegation into that, and it's just going to be a horrible atmosphere. Will says, I'm sure Heider Helgeson was 8 goals, was our top scorer in the promotion season under Malky. I think you might be right. Need to take a breath, peeps. Need to take a breath. Woo! Been ranting tonight. It's not like me at all. Not like me at all. But I've enjoyed it. It's been therapeutic, I think. I think I needed it just to get some of this stuff off my chest. Craig Sullivan says 4-year contracts when in the Premier League. So many players have still got a year left. People moan about the ones we didn't keep on. Also, the season ticket income very low this year. There's lots paid last year. Yeah, there's lots of aspects to the financial side of things, and I think you can't blame the club for all of those things. They have tried to cut costs. Joe Bennett, I think, ultimately, like Joe Bennett, they probably would have wanted to keep, but he was on, I think, someone will correct me, was it 20 grand a week or 40 grand a week, something like that. Like, he was on big money, and I don't think he wanted to go down, and he's entitled to do so, and they didn't want to keep paying him that Premier League wage. Reese says, anyone else missed the days of Dave Jones? 4-4-2 wouldn't work today, but he signed quality players for peanuts, played exciting football. Yeah, and like, he used to give players like Jay, who'd had trouble elsewhere, but everyone knew they were good. He just gave them a chance and built up their confidence and went with it like that. Like, we brought in Ravel Morrison on loan a couple of years ago and didn't play him. Like, I'm not saying that it would have worked, but like, I just feel like if you're going to bring him in on loan and take the risk on him, then just play him and see if he does anything. Same with Zaha, barely played. Like, I get they might not have worked, or there may have been various things, but just come on. Like, just, what was the guy last year, the defender from was it Bristol? Came in on loan. We were shit at defence. We had injuries, and he just never played. He went back from his loan and never played a game. Just ludicrous the way we treat some loan players. And then now this year, so much depends on Ryan Giles. If Ryan Giles doesn't do anything, we are screwed because we've got no creative players. Craig says there's also not many walk-ins to watch. Don't blame anyone for not paying to watch, though. Yeah, I think, look, there's a lot of aspects to that. I think people are frustrated. People were frustrated from Mick McCarthy being appointed. People are frustrated with the board. People are frustrated with the situation. The football shit. Pandemic is obviously, people aren't maybe as cash rich as they were 2 years ago. and also things are not going well. And also, there's more ways to watch games than ever before. If you've got a Fire Stick or something, internet, pay TV, and all these things, there's so many ways to watch every game. You don't have to have Sky anymore to watch these games, and I think that adds to it. And when it's not good, those things kick on, and people think, "Oh, I'll just watch it at home." Whew. Donna says, "Love the Dave Jones days. We had things to look forward to." Will says, "We need a young, hungry manager who can actually coach the players to pass the football." I agree completely. Benkovic, that was it, Reece. You are right. Yeah, mate. It's he just, what was the point? Harris shot himself in both feet there, says Gareth. Yeah, spot on, mate. Benkovic from Leicester, that was it. Yes, indeedy. Gareth Parry, memories of Jason Kumas' debut versus Leeds. That was just unbelievable. Jason Kumas, what a player, mate. Real special footballer he was. Nathan Norris Evans says, "There aren't three worse teams than us in the league. No matter what manager we get in, there are too many players in this club who only care about their wage packet, need a total reshape of the club, get a manager in with a project." It's what I've been saying. A lot of those players have let down manager after manager after manager. They let down Warnock at the end. They let down Harris. They're now letting down Mick McCarthy. Do I think Mick McCarthy would do any better if those players were running through a brick wall for him? Marginally. I think that we'd get a couple of draws and maybe a win here and there. But ultimately, I think the squad's not good enough. The squad's not big enough. And I'll say it again, Mick McCarthy's style of football doesn't work in 2021. Football, like every other sport on the planet, has evolved. You either evolve with it or you perish. And the way we are going, we will perish. Will says, "The parachute payments only went towards paying back the debt that Tan had accumulated in trying to get there." Yeah, that debt which was going to get turned to equity all those years ago. Yeah, I remember. Glatzel, Murphy, we signed. Good shouts. Yeah, it's depressing. Let's talk about something else. Right, guys, get your questions in. I'll give you another 10 minutes or so. My blood pressure's up and high. Let's have a look. So I can see a few people discussing, like Dave Jones. It wasn't perfect under Dave Jones. He did a lot of things wrong. He wasn't always the easiest to work with. But you can't deny that overall he did a good job for Cardiff City. And he played, so it was exciting. It was exciting times. We had some unbelievable players during his time there. Gas size going off. Love it. Yeah, it's been a bit ranty, so I apologise. And I know there's some people who are not Cardiff fans in. There's a lot of Cardiff fans in tonight. So I apologise that it's been very Cardiff heavy. But you can ask me questions about anything you like, and I will discuss it now and answer them for the last 5 or 10. Rob Boyle says, "What is Dave Jones doing these days?" I don't know, mate. I've sent him a few texts to try and get him on, with no reply. Will Melius says, "All I want is a bit of excitement in our games. I could take losing if we actually attack the opposition goal." Yeah, you don't mind losing if you're trying to win. Yes, indeed. Gavin Randall says, "Faith, mate, because there's quite a lot of glory there as well, to be honest." What else we've got? Hugh Nicholas. Let's look to the future. John Beck. Interesting suggestion. He's not a name that's come up. I'm interested in seeing who people would like to see take over, knowing that we've got little to no money. I'm interested to see who people would like to sort of see come in and take over. Mick McCarthy is worse than Russell Slade. Jesus, Donna, that is a shout and a half. Not sure I'm having that. Mark Pugh says, if we sack Mick McCarthy, who would you want to sign? So I'm kind of caught between a couple. I think I'd probably want to go with Gareth Ainsworth, maybe. Carl Robinson would be on my shortlist. Mark Robbins would be high on my shortlist. The Cowley brothers, and then I'd probably be looking at like a ex-Cardiff, maybe a Bellamy or Hudson, someone like that. I want someone young who's going to come in and transfer. I want someone to come in with the attitude and the way it was implemented that Bellamy did with our academy. Not saying that I necessarily want Bellamy, but I want someone to come in with the attitude of saying, this is not good enough. This is not how we should be playing football. This is not how we should be looking after our bodies. This is not how we should be training. This is not how we should be playing. This is not how we should be running our club. Let's do something about it and changing it. Changing the way we play, changing the way we prepare, changing the way and building for the future. Whoever, if they sack him, they have to bring in someone, give him a 3-year deal and let him rebuild. If he goes down, he goes down. No one wants to go down. We don't want that to happen, but it's got to be a rebuild job, and they've got to just give him as much money as they possibly can in the summer to get rid of some of that dead wood. I'm sorry, Bakuya has had more chances than anyone, and it's been just not good enough, I'm afraid. Saul Bamber had another great game for Middlesbrough, by the way. I just saw that Craig Sullivan said there. Greg Gilmore, welcome, my friend. Great to see you in the chat, my friend. Greg says, is Brendan Rodgers going to leave Leicester after this season? To be honest with you, Greg, there's only 2 scenarios that I see Brendan Rodgers leaving Leicester. Probably even just one, and that is if a big European club comes in for him. I'm talking like one of the real big boys, because otherwise, why would he? He's got a club, he gets money to spend, he's got a great squad, he's in the Champions League spaces, he's competing with the best clubs in the Premier League. I don't see why. So say I put a scenario to you, Greg, and you can let me know what you think. Say Manchester United sacked Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and they offered Brendan Rodgers the job. Is that a step up for him in the current climate of the game and the football? Take out the fact that he's been Liverpool manager and stuff like that. Would he be better off in a less secure job at Manchester United than he would in a secure job at Leicester, trying to push on and win another league, trying to take them on in Europe? I don't know. It's an interesting one. It's an interesting conversation. I believe that when Brendan Rodgers has been linked with Newcastle, I would be so surprised if he goes to Newcastle. Simply because I think that he's a guy that really seems to have quite high morals, and I just don't know whether those two, like leaving Leicester for basically the money. I'm sure it would be sold as the project of returning Newcastle to the Premier League champions and all this shite. But I just don't know. But it's a real interesting conversation. Some really good comments tonight, guys. I'm loving it. So Rob Boyle says, Gareth Ainsworth, top bloke, shite style of football. Yeah. Kate Child says, what about Roy Keane? See, I know a lot of people would be like, no, not Roy Keane. Wouldn't be against it. People forget he did a tremendous job at Sunderland before he was kind of screwed over a little bit by the board. There's potential in Roy Keane. I think he's got another job in him. He said he wants to get back into it. I wouldn't be disappointed. I don't think he would take the Cardiff job, by the way, but I wouldn't be disappointed with it. Brendan Rodgers should come to Cardiff, bring Vardy with him, and everything will be all right. Greg says, I don't think it would be a step up to go to Manchester United. When you hear non-stop headlines and external influence saying it is, I could see him going, yeah, look, it's tricky there because, like, obviously you can't deny Manchester United, one of the biggest clubs in the world. Historically, of course, one of the biggest clubs, best clubs in Europe, blah, blah, blah. But at the moment, they can't seem to really get together. But I think they are getting closer, just having a bit of a bad run at the moment. Reece says he thinks Diego Simeone should go to United next. My problem with Diego Simeone is the same problem that Mourinho had before he'd even coached the day, was United fans won't put up with shit like that style of football, like that compact, defensive first football. And yeah, I just don't know if Diego Simeone would be a fit. He says Conte as well, Antonio Conte. I think Rodri's taught me around that he's going to go to Newcastle when they do sack Steve Bruce. As controversial as it sounds, Craig says we should have waited to offer Mick McCarthy the contract and given it to Cooper. He's working wonders at Forest, and he would have done the same for us with his City links. Completely agree with you, my friend. Cardiff City giving Mick McCarthy a 3-year contract when he was already signed up until the summer was an absolute joke. It was disgraceful. It was such, like, that epitomizes how badly our football club is run, that they couldn't wait just a month or two to make the decision. Now, I'm sure people will say, oh, yeah, it wasn't because of the story about the Celtic job. Then why was it? Because there was no reason to give him that. If they wanted to give him a 3-year deal, they could have given it to him in the summer. He wasn't going anywhere. He was signed. He was under contract until the end of the season. So he couldn't leave unless they said he could. So, yeah, it's not having, like, it was a disgusting decision, absolutely disgusting. And they're paying the price for it now. Craig Sullivan said, did you see Russell Slade is one of the group starting legal action over the use of his name and stats? Yeah, that's an interesting one. I'd be interested how that turns out. Hugh Nicholas, so welcome, Hugh, mate. He says Alex Neil could do a good job for Cardiff. Yeah, I think it's a very good shout, mate. There's managers about, and this is why the appointment of Mick McCarthy and Neil Harris was disgusting, because there's better managers out there. Donna Perry, she is on that Frank Lampard bus 100%. Wants Cardiff to get Frankie in. Not sure he'd take it, but I think he'd want money to spend, which we do not have. Kay Charles says, I wouldn't give Mick McCarthy a job in litter picking. He'd leave a hole in the bottom of the bin liner. Yeah, he is rubbish. Let's have a look. What else we got? Roy Keane James Costley says, Roy Keane has the right attitude to be a manager and he won't take no shit. Spot on, mate. I think potentially, if you give Roy Keane 3 years and let him bring in his own staff, he could be the sort of person who could turn it around and stuff. Rob Boyle, give it to Giggsy at the end of the season. Rodri Giggs, that is, don't give it to Rodri Giggs. No, I don't want to lose another host to managerial world jobs. Come on. What are you trying to do to me, man? No, look, it's Rodri's going to be coaching and managing soon enough. I have no doubt about that. Exceptional knowledge and brutal honesty. People love it. Is Andy coming back? Leslie says, I'll tell you next Monday, mate. The other Gigs is going to be privately engaged, I think, for a year or two, maybe. Let's have a look. Get Rodri in till the end of the season. Get Campbell in to the end of the season. Nah, I don't think there's no point in sacking Mick McCarthy now and giving it to someone to the end of the season. It's pointless. Sacks, if you're going to sack it, right, I would rather leave it until November to sack him. But now they're looking and scouring the world for a new manager, the right young manager who's got a project, who can come to the club with his project, and he's got a folder and he says, I want to play this way. I want the reserves and the under 23s to do this, and I want this, and these are the sorts of players that I want. Yeah, Hugh, I would love the irony of Roy Keane taking Mick McCarthy's job. I think it would be sensational. Oh, Gareth, brutal, mate, brutal. I'm not saying that, but yeah, my point being, the club, I would rather sack Mick McCarthy in November and be further down the league and get the right man in than sack him tomorrow and bring in person X till the end of the season and then do someone else, because that is pointless. Is just yet again will show a lack of organisation and a lack of look into the future. Wow, if anyone has not enjoyed my ranting this evening, I really do apologise. This is a question and answer show, so you could have got 5 minutes to ask as many questions as you want, and I'll just answer them as quick as I can without ranting. They don't have to be football related either. Just ask me as many questions as you can, and I'll just I will just answer them. Guys, I really appreciate your comments and stuff, and please do spread the word. Not just about this show. I do a show on Friday with Rodri Giggs where we talk all things football. Friday's show was one of my favorite shows I've ever done. It was so good, so funny. Like, Rodri is so brutally honest on everything, doesn't swerve any questions, just loves it. And me and him get on really well. We've got good chemistry, in my opinion. And I just think, yeah, it's absolutely, in my opinion, it's the sort of podcast that I would like to watch. Like Rodri, he's funny, he's knowledgeable, he's just everything which I want from a pundit, and he sounds as hell as well. So I urge people, if that's on a Friday night, 7:30, do check it out. At the moment, on a Monday, it's just me for an hour answering people's questions, ranting about something or other. And then we have the fight show on Sundays, and then I always, my story is going to be coming back very soon. I'm just waiting on a couple of things for that. Mark Pugh says, how much money do you think Tan was putting into Cardiff last season with COVID? So, well, Mehmet Dalman told me that it was, what was it, 2 or 3 million a month? I mean, look, I don't know, and I've got no reason why Mehmet Dalman would come on my show again, just saying, and to say something which can be found out in the future to be a lie, because when the accounts come out and whatever next year for the previous years, people can see, can't they? So it's like, it doesn't make sense to me why you would lie about that, if that makes sense. Let's have a look. Questions. Gavin says, love it, Si, getting your frustrations out. Yeah, mate, it's been a bit ranty, my friend. Donna Perry to be the first female championship manager. Yeah, Donna Perry to be the first female A.C.E Podcast Nation co-host. Stranger things have happened. Let's have a look. There was a question I was going to read. Where's it gone? Gaz says, update on the kids' football situation. Yeah, so people have been following these shows over the last couple of weeks. Obviously, a very quick sort of thing. My son's under 13s team, their manager took him off about a month ago because of the other team's behaviour, the other team's parents' behaviour, being aggressive and swearing and violent, blah, blah, blah. He took him off. He was told a couple of weeks ago that the Welsh FA were giving him a 3-match ban and 150 quid fine, I think it is, 150 or 100 quid fine for him for taking the team off and the game being abandoned, even though he was doing it for the safety of a bunch of kids. and the other team's manager and players didn't get anything. He appealed it. He's now got a 5-match ban and £100 fine. So thanks, Welsh FA. Absolute joke. I'm going to be writing to the Welsh FA tomorrow about it because I am disgusted by it, and I want to know why they aren't more concerned about my son's safety. That's what I want to know. So yeah, it's going to be interested. Let's have a look. Last couple of questions. Reece says every few months, Dalmon released a statement to the BBC. It's 3 million. It's been doing it for the past few years. Craig Sullivan says Roy Keane wouldn't leave TV as easy work and he would fail again as a manager. So I disagree with part of what you said. He would leave TV because he's already, if you watched the interview he did on the Overlap with Gary Neville, he said he wants a project. He wants to get back into management at the right place, somewhere where he can have time to build something special, I think was his real words. Geraint Cole says he's a bullshitter. I think we all know who Geraint's talking about because he makes his opinions very clear on that person. No comment from me. Gavin says good luck Sunday. Wait for the protest. I don't know what that means. Please explain. Donna Perry says if you had Dalman now, there'd be 20,000 of us on. Yeah, imagine. Didn't catch the end of the fight show last night. Did you see my post about the chance of keeping it real show being live? Yeah, there's a few kind of issues with getting me and Andrew to do a live show just because he's in America and stuff. We do try, and I think we might, not definite, try and do one before, or I'm not sure what time, the WWE show, which is on Thursday. There's a show in Saudi Arabia, but we might try and do a show like around that on Thursday, either before it or after it or something, depending on Andrew's schedule and stuff. But I don't know what time it starts and finishes and stuff. Looks like it starts at 12 o'clock Eastern, so that's 5 o'clock UK time. Yeah, so we might do one after that on Thursday if Andrew's schedule is open. It depends if he's traveling and interviewing people and stuff because he's a journalist. Make sure you get your Super 6 predictions in, guys. I need you to get it in. The Manchester protest, mate. Yeah, look, it'll be there. It'll be on again. And I think it's going to be really interesting. Gavin Reynolds says, talk about the Newcastle game side with, yes, mate, that was wild. So when Newcastle played Tottenham on the weekend, well, just before half time, they were Spurs at a corner, and one of the fans had suffered a cardiac arrest. And the fans were trying to get the players' attention, and Reguilon told Eric Dyer, and he told the bench, and they all had to get. And then, do you know what, mate? The fan luckily has survived and is stable. That the game was stopped and the players went off. But tell you what, mate, it shows yet again the importance of having defibrillators at football matches. And any professional football club which hasn't got defibrillators in their stadium now is disgrace in my eyes. Because if they haven't got the funds to do it, there's ways to raise funds for that. Whether you do a Just Give, like a Just Give In or a GoFundMe to try and get your fans to do it and football fans generally to do it, I think you could probably achieve it. Or you go to the PFA or the FA or all these different organizations, because in my opinion, every single professional football club should have them. I think all the amateur clubs should have to have them as well. But obviously, there's issues with funds and stuff like that. But it's that without that defibrillator, that there's a good chance that man that fan is not with us. So, big, massive thank you to them. Mark says, I missed your answer to how much time's been putting in. So, Mark, during the, I think it was the second interview, because that was in lockdown, which I did with Mehmet, he said that he was putting in about 3 million per month, Tan was. as I said a minute ago, I got no reason to believe that was a lie, but I've also got no proof that it's not. I think it would be really weird to come on here and say that. And then I think Reece said after that he did a few interviews with BBC and Talk Sport saying the same thing. Be a weird thing to lie about, because when the accounts come out in April, you'll be able to see. So it's a bit of a weird one. I think you'd be able to see. Let's have a look. Right, last chance for any questions. Last chance. Get your predictions in for the Super Six. Join us on Friday, myself and Rodri, when we talk all things football. We talked a lot on Newcastle lately on those Friday shows, but it's been quite fun to switch it up. And also, what was I loved, I'm going to try and clip it tomorrow, is Rodri absolutely ripping Harry Kane to shreds for downing tools. Thought it was absolutely superb. Just the brutal honesty in that. I thought it was wicked. Reece says, how are you feeling today? I've seen your status about not being well the other night. Yeah, mate, I'm just in pain, mate. Rob Boyle says, when you having guests on again? What, you mean on the Monday show, bro? If you do. Basically, as discussed before, the plan was do these on a Monday to keep ticking over until we know for sure what Andy's doing. If Andy's unable to come back, which is fair enough, he's got a big job on his hands. I understand that. Once we know what's happening with that, I wanted to give him time to settle into his new job, of course, so without any pressure. So this is what this is achieved. We'll make a decision. If he can't come back, then the Monday show will probably become My Story Mondays, where it'll be me and a guest doing the My Story series live with people from all sorts of, actors, bands, footballers, cricketers, athletes, fighters, whatever it may be, telling people stories, taking questions from you guys. It's got, and I've already got like a list of people agreed to come on for My Story for season 3, which I was just going to record and put out as a weekly series. It was going to start recording in October. I've put it back a little bit to the start of November to record it if we start the Monday football show up again. If it doesn't, then it doesn't. Reece says, any update on what you're doing for your birthday so we can all just show up and get drunk asking for a friend? Nothing, mate. Hope that answers your question. Guys and girls, it has been an absolute pleasure. There is no party, Donna. Friday, 7:30, Rodri Gigs on football. Join us to discuss anything you like related to football. I hope I haven't put anyone off with my rant in this evening, and I hope I haven't put the non-Cardiff City fans off by just talking about Cardiff tonight. We had a lot of Cardiff fans in. It was South Wales derby, etc., etc. Garrett says, so how about asking our glorious chairman to ask Tan to come on and give us an update? I'm not sure how much English Vincent Tan speaks, mate. And if that was to happen, I definitely have to go back through my social media and delete some posts. But yeah, I'm not going to lie to you guys, I never do. I'm going to be sending a text this week to ask Mr. Dalman if he'll come back on. Whether he will or won't, I don't know. I would expect, even before the last couple of weeks, and before I just tore the club a new one for an hour, I would have expected the answer to be at the end of the season or maybe the international break or something like that. He doesn't. Whenever I've spoken to him, he's always been reluctant to do it in the middle of the season or when the season's going on, because he's obviously busy and stuff. But the text is going in this week, and we'll see if we can get episode number 3 from the Mehmet Dalman series. Yeah, Donna, thanks for reminding me that we would have been 2 weeks out from the live show, which is not happening. I really appreciate you dragging that up and making me upset again to finish off. I'm just going to go home now. I'm going to go and I'm going to cry myself to sleep because I was really looking forward to that live show. It was like the highlight of my life. It was like the culmination of what I've built with this A.C.E Podcast Nation. And I've just, like, probably in the last 24 hours, just got to come to terms with it and, like, stopped it really playing on my mind. And you've just brought it back up. Thanks. Yeah. No, I'll ask the question, Garen. I will ask the question, mate. But it is what it is. It is what it is. If you're all going to the Middlesbrough game on Saturday, Kevin McNaughton's going to be there because he's doing Under the Cosh live in Cardiff on Saturday night. Traitorous man. No, it'll be a good show. That will be a big good show. Yes, the live show will happen, daughter. It will happen. You know, it'll happen. And Andy and Kev and Danny and Rodri, they'll all be there. Every single host that's ever been on with me will be there. But it is what it is. Guys, it's been a pleasure. Gone way over time this week. I'll be in trouble again. I appreciate you all so much. I appreciate everyone who's tuned in and all that good stuff. It has been my pleasure. You guys rock. Take it easy. Look after yourself. Oh, or last thing. If you're one of the absolute bellends, and I mean bellends of the highest order, who sent messages to Sean Morrison's wife after that on Saturday, give your fucking head a wobble and stop being such a prick.